Hello and welcome to Meanwhile in the Falklands. I'm here, Hannah Newton, and I'm with...
Me, Caiti Beatty.
And me, Thomas Stockton.
And we're somewhere a little bit different to normal. We're actually at the waterfront. We've just had a very yummy breakfast, haven't we?
Yes, and lunches, breakfast, dinners are available from other places as well, as Paula would say.
No,
you're right.
Go elsewhere, but the breakfast is quite delicious here.
Yeah, what did you have?
I had a veggie Benedict, which was quite nice.
Ooh, what did you have?
Eggs Benedict.
Yeah, I joined you on the eggs Benedict.
Bacon, yeah.
Yeah, and hollandaise sauce, but you went up for the hollandaise, weren't you?
No, I'm not a big fan of hollandaise sauce. I know it's a bit of a nightmare to make, but I don't like the taste of it. I find it a bit too rich for me personally.
Fair enough.
Yeah, probably just boring.
I say. Well, no, there was quite a lot of bread with that one, so it was just for me. It was just about soaking up the bread.
And we're actually here. We've been abandoned actually by our bosses, haven't we?
I know.
Steve's left us today. He's left and he's waiting in the airport at MPA to get on the plane.
Indeed,
Back to the UK.
Going to join Paula on the other side of the Great Ocean.
Yeah.
So
wild parties. Lots of wild parties is what we're thinking.
I say you think we're joking, but having a couple of quiet friends over for a quiet dinner this evening with a little bit of water.
But also we've got some special guests here, haven't we, Katie? Would you like to tell us who have we got with us?
Yes, my dad and stepmom are here. They're actually sitting at the table, not mic'd up, reading some maps and information booklets about the Falkland Islands, being the best tourists that they can possibly be.
Been here less than 24 hours,
Yeah,
haven't
they got in on the plane that Steve actually left on today, so they're down here for 2 weeks visiting, and I think it was actually on their bucket list before I even came down here. So
awesome.
really nice to have them here and do a bit of exploring for me too.
And how do you feel? I was going to say, how do you feel having seen them? Because you haven't seen them for seven months now,
yeah.
So how's it been?
No, it was really exciting. He's pulling faces at me now, but it was really nice seeing them come off the plane. It was good stuff.
And you had your the first ever introduction between your other half and your and your dad. So how did that go?
It was something that I think you have to be a bit nervous for, but it did go quite well. He's good, really, so it was nice. He called him sir and carried the bag, so you can't ask for much more.
So, all-round Jeeves.
Let's move on.
I was to say, before we move on from that, just to say that we will be hearing a bit more from your dad, and hopefully from Joy as well, next week on the podcast, as we catch up with them after a week of being in the Falklands, see what they think about it. It'd be nice to get an actual outsider's point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're not outsiders anymore. Yeah,
I know.
I've said it.
Oh.
I've said it. We're part of the community. So anyway, Katie, you've had a bit of time off this week, but what have we all been working on? Hannah, do you want to start us off?
Yes, I'll start us off. I've been working on two things actually. One that's quite fun. One of them was National Poetry Day. That happened this week. So we had, I went round and got some poems from members of the community to do a couple of lines of their favourite poems. Some of them were quite rude. Some of them didn't make the cut. If you're listening, you know who I'm talking about.
I'll say, was that a man named after a city in the Midlands?
Yes, it might have been. Some of them were a little bit risque, so I didn't put them all in, but it was nice. It made a really nice package,
and I do believe the last one was self-censored
as
well.
Yes, but it's quite hard because if someone came up to me and said, "Hannah, recite a poem," I think I don't know any poems off the top of my head. How am I supposed to remember things like that? But
well, this could be an incredible flop, but so you don't have a poem off the top of your head. I definitely don't.
Katie,
Go on, Katie.
Some who meet and can eat, and some can eat and want it, but we who meet and we can eat, so let the Lord be thank it.
I think that's the most Scottish thing I've ever heard, and I don't think I understood any of that.
I was going to say, I don't think
Can we have subtitles, please?
There was something about eating, and now I'm hungry. And
It's called the Selkirk Grace.
Very nice.
Yep.
Oh, that's better then. Okay, well, you're going to have to teach me that before the year is up.
For Burns night, our Burns supper that we're hosting, that'll definitely come out.
Your I'm going to call him co-host because he's your other Scottish man helping you out. He emailed today.
So it's a man that's working on a contract down here, and he's Scottish, and we met because I was interviewing for him for the news. And I mentioned that we're doing a Burns supper, and he's really excited to be involved.
He's extended his contract especially for the Burns supper, by the sound of
That's
He said he's going to get his best tartan out. I'm hoping he's going to wear some sort of undergarments underneath. But
well, true Scotsmen don't.
And so I met him at Government House last week for the D- thing, and yeah, he's a really, really nice chap. He had nice things to say about you.
Oh, good.
Though I did say that the email that you'd sent him regarding like some plans, because he's part of planning and building committee, was because like he'd said something during the meeting and I didn't know him, so I went back and was like, Caiti, can you email your friend for me, please?
I feel like when you're down here and I hear a Scottish accent, I think my ears prick up.
You get a little bit excited.
Yeah, we all kind of bind together.
Well, I was going to say, I know you guys
Scottish
are obviously busy and still jet lagged, but we, as we mentioned, doing a bit of a dinner thing later, and I'm pretty sure one of the new teachers Scottish. Are they gonna be present? So you might have to come along. Oh, perked up over there now. People from the homeland.
Scottish, yeah. Because I did the new teachers piece a couple of weeks ago, and it was so exciting. There's a man and a lady that are Scottish, and they came in and opened their mouths. Woohoo! Friends.
I feel like no British person has that. No English person has it. Like you hear an English accent somewhere, and it's just like,
oh God, here we go, another one of us.
Is this Benidorm? What's going on? Whereas I feel like Welsh, Irish, Scottish, wherever they go around the world, if you hear one of the accents, it's straight away like, oh my God, let's
you do actually hear quite a few accents here, though. Do you know what I think? For the Falklands, when I first came, I never thought it was going to be so diverse.
It is amazing.
And it's amazing how many different kind of cultures there are here.
Absolutely, and as I said, with the D- back, there's a huge part of the society here, Zimbabwean.
Yeah,
it's
Zimbabwean?
amazing.
From Zimbabwe?
Zimbabwean.
Yeah, they're Zims, there we go, that's what they refer to them. But they're a huge part of the community, as we said. They've sort of already been roped into doing the Christmas Challenge concert.
Oh, and they also do the Zim Harmony. Harmony. I really wanted to see them actually sing, because I hear that great things from Paula, said that their voices are
and the lead singer has got the most fantastic name, Previous.
Oh my
That's
God,
his actual name,
amazing.
Previous.
Nice.
But he's such a nice chap as well. But it was really, it was quite funny at Government House last week. They were saying how they'd all come back down, and there were 2 new guys this year to operate some of the heavier machinery, because they're now sifting out all of the sand dunes at York Bay to clear one of like the last minefields.
That will be so good when that's cleared. We can finally actually walk on that beach, because I always see it and I'm like, I want to go on there, but there's those big signs saying no, mines, blah blah blah.
And if you've never seen York Bay, Google it, because you'll think we're in the Caribbean.
Yep.
You see
York
Bay,
doesn't it?
It's absolutely stunning. But 2 of the guys who came down to operate the machinery had never seen snow before. Ever, and they arrived and it was snowing, and they're like, oh my God, this is magical. And then they stood out working in snow for about 4 hours.
Had enough of it. By the end of that, they're like, I hate snow.
When they were asked, what do you think about the snow? They're like, yeah, I liked it until I realised how cold and miserable it was.
Fair enough. No, it's not nice.
We've also been working on a couple of other days this week, as it was World Mental Health Day.
Yeah, World Mental Health Day. It was actually quite interesting, because they put on a lot of different events at the infant and junior schools. So they had like kids yoga. They had Train Like a Jedi, so all the kids turned up all dressed up with their lightsabers and their what's the name? Oh God.
Masks.
What's the name of the
Darth Vader,
green
Yoda.
one? Yoda.
Well,
so they all
don't test my Star Wars knowledge.
He knows. So they all turned up in like Yoda masks and stuff, and Beverly Bates, she's a local fitness guru, I'd like to say. She did a little class with them, and they were pushing away all the stormtroopers and doing all sorts of stuff, which was really good fun. And then they also had chess, trying to engage their brains. Apparently, mental health wise, in order to kind of relax, some people play board games, some people do exercise, this and that, but it's quite a good way to woosa.
But I suppose that sort of thing, both exercise and board games is a way of investing your brain into something that isn't what's going on in your... So it's kind of like meditation. It's being present without being...
Focusing on something else, isn't it?
Yeah. And then
it's just a form of escapism.
Yeah, you can come out with a clearer mind, can't you? After playing a board game, I always find, even if I'm in a bad mood and I play a board game, I'll then end up laughing.
Well, that's because you normally win. So.
Yeah,
it's come out brainier as well. So
there is that. But as we were talking about, you mentioned earlier about the positive effects, because you said train like a Jedi and movement and pushing away. So it's really interesting to see how much sport is actually in physical activity.
Do you know what that actually quite reminds me of? The Train Like a Jedi was very similar to Richard Cockwell's Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
Yeah, he was saying with Tai Chi, he was showing us in the office actually the other week. It was quite funny. He was pushing away
Not
things.
just funny, it was also very educational, Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even Richard Cockrell does exercise.
But it's really, I think...
Harsh.
but to relax his mind, he was saying it's quite a good way of relaxing his mind.
And this is coming from a painter who
Yeah.
spends hours escaping into a landscape
Yeah.
and things like that, yeah.
But I think because there was this big push, I know, across Scotland not that long ago to get older people engaged in doing exercise with sort of not thinking of exercise as being doing sit-ups or going for a run, but exercise as having a dance, putting a song on and dancing for 3 minutes, or getting up and down from your chair 5 times, that sort of thing. So making sure that people are moving as well, and I think that's why the yoga coming into fashion, I mean, it is a bit of a trend right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bit kind of fashionable, but also great stuff, because people becoming more flexible and moving more as they get older will just help our whole
and stop
population.
arthritis and things like that. But also you've got that, I think I'd love this, I've always wanted to try it, that scream therapy, where you all stand in a room and you scream. And there's also the laugh therapy as well, where you all sit and you all just have a good old laugh and you force the laugh until you actually feel like you're having a good time.
All I'm picturing now is the idea of doing scream therapy with you, and like within a minute I could just see
Deaf.
my ears
You'd be
bleeding.
deaf straight
my
away.
ears would be bleeding. we just have office communication, and that's scream therapy and
But yeah, well, you've been working on something else, haven't you, Kate? You've been doing Pathfinders on the weekend. How was that?
Yeah, I went along to the museum because the Pathfinders, which is a group of it's young people, so sort of children and also young teenagers that go out and discover more about the history of the Falkland Islands, but actually getting outside and not just reading things in books, but going out and discovering it themselves.
Nice.
And on Saturday at the museum, they had a bit of a celebration of everything that they've done this year, but also had a chance for new people to sign up. And actually, they've got some sponsors this year, which means that they're able to go across to the west. And I think it's amazing that the companies down here that do really well as businesses are looking at different ways of supporting the community.
Oh God, yeah. Well, it's similar to last week, or was it the week before, with Maliki Budd and his scholarship.
Yeah.
His Decor Services putting some money for him to go to Canada to play hockey. Like, I don't think you'd get that in a big city.
Yeah, I
As
feel
much,
like
whereas here the community kind of seems to all roll together and say, right, we're raising funds for this, we'll help somebody do that, and it's nurturing people's specialist skills, which I think is great. And speaking of that, we've got the training centre as well being redone in the next couple of years, which will be good because apparently they're hoping to open up with more courses, and they're having set workshops for people to actually go in and do woodwork and loads of different like handicrafts and things like that. And I think it was kind of long overdue that they had a bit of money pumped in, so that sounds good.
And we'll be bringing you more of that on FITV next
week.
week, as when you're looking into the change of the training centre and the library and all of that. You can have a little walk around, aren't you, with Emma?
Yeah, and have a look. And have a look at the sneak peek at the little the plans as well. So that should be good. But what have you been up to, Tom, this week?
I've been looking. Well, predominantly what I'm doing is looking into the potential impacts of a salmon farm in the Falklands.
Ooh.
So the Executive Council got a proposal. Well, they got an initial contact from a company who'd like to give a letter of intent. Complicated.
Salmon's my favourite fish, so hopefully it will happen.
Well, that's the thing, and I just thought, salmon fish farm, that's great. Just looking out at the harbour, like literally in front of us right now, going to stick a pen up there, get some salmon going. What's wrong with that? And looking into it, there are so many different impacts salmon farming can have on the environment, whether it's environmental or social and economical. Well, by the looks of it, economical, it's always quite positive because it's quite a lucrative
fishing's
business.
one of the biggest industries down here, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I know I don't know how soon, I think maybe in the next year or two, that they're thinking of getting the oil back down here, which is another main kind of source of income for the economy.
Yeah.
But I think salmon farming would be awesome.
Yeah, but
if it didn't have that much of a negative environmental impact.
Absolutely, and this is the difficulty. Having looked into it, Falklands Conservation got a report commissioned by some specialists who looked into salmon farms around the world, and some of the leaders in it are the Scandinavian countries and Scotland, and Chile actually have one of the most predominant, prevalent salmon markets in the world.
Wouldn't have thought that at all. I never knew
and
that.
they've got 12, 13, 14 different sites across the country, and about 10 of them are absolutely awful. Absolutely.
Right.
And there are so many different ways salmon and the different kinds of salmon can impact the environment. And depending on the type of salmon you have, There's a variety of different things. If the water isn't salient enough, then you have to treat it with chemicals. At which point you affect the water around it. Then the feed itself for the salmon, then the feces and the feed falling down to the bottom, just pretty much destroys all the micro environments down on the floor, down on the seabed.
Sorry, am I the only one that giggled at the word feces?
It's
It's not a very commonly used word, is it? Sorry.
Absolute child. But then there's other things like they get sea lice, which can go off to affect other species, and then you use chemicals to treat that. You got escape, which can be a problem because then they can go out and they can carry diseases. They might have disease, so they can carry them that way, but they can also affect the local fish. So the fish that actually from the endemic species, they will be affected by the salmon because salmon is quite an aggressive species apparently. So there's so many factors to consider. It
sounds like there's a lot of pros and cons to consider with this, especially considering that the Falkland Islands is quite focused on its environment. But I think it's a wonderful thing that discussions like this and thoughts of this sort of thing are coming to the Falkland Islands, and it's a really good sign for the future that maybe this isn't the right fit for the Falkland Islands, but there could be something else that could help us.
But I was talking to Teslin, going on from what you were saying, who is a Camp MLA here, and she was talking about how if salmon fish farms come about, they'll use the inshore environment, and they won't obviously just be in Stanley, they'll be all around, so it'll be a massive business opportunity for people who live out in camp. But then that comes onto the social issues. Is that what you want? Do you want loads of people moving out there? Do you want people potentially about?
It's development for the future.
But is the development what the community wants? And that's what you got to look into.
Well, I'm hoping it means that we'll have grizzly bears here because I love them. they can do the salmon fishing as well. But also, I think we should give a shout out to Tom, our graphics man, who made you really, really, really good graphic, didn't he, for your piece this week?
Yeah, he was. So he did it on a program called Blender, and then he spent 2.5 days doing that to realise that the program wouldn't render it at all, so we couldn't use it. So he had a day to put it together on a different program, and he did a really good job. Bless him.
And you have to tune in to FITV on Friday if you want to come on today if you'd like to have a look at
Tom Mansell's graphic.
Really good graphic, but if not, you can subscribe to us online at fitv.co.uk.
You can.
Plug.
You can see the faces behind these lovely voices.
Exactly.
And something I wanted to mention earlier actually, because we were talking about sport, and you mentioned Malachy Budd as well. Malachy, as you said, is leaving for Canada to go and play hockey. But I think everyone in the football team is going to be gutted because he's 14 years old, and he's really, like, the last few weeks he's been showing such promising signs as a footballer as well.
Really?
You know how it always is with people who are really good at sport. They're good at all the sports, kind of thing. So but I mean, he's coming along so quickly, and so he will be here. Oh, that's a big thing.
I was going to say, speaking of football, tell us, Tom. I know you've been dying to tell us what's coming up.
So the FA are bringing the England C team, which is essentially an under-23 team made up of semi-professional non-league players. So people who play for like Buxton Town and stuff like that. But I mean, still semi-professional footballers. It's an official England team, and they're doing a bit of a Commonwealth tour, and they're coming down here.
We've got semi-professional footballers here, don't we? And we're actually sat with one of them right next to me.
No, I think semi-professional implies that I get paid for what I do, whereas I think they pay me to not play.
But no, it's our local team, isn't it, who will be going up against them. So you never know if.
And they're playing
a
team from the combined forces as well. So they'll be playing a game on the Saturday against Stanley, and then they'll be going up to NPC on the Sunday. And he'll be speaking to the guy who manages the football team up there, and he says, the guys on tour down here at the moment aren't the most football talented people.
Oh no!
So he's looking to try and bring in ringers on 3-week tours. So the military adding to their carbon footprint as they fly a squad down, a squad of players down.
That's hilarious.
But well, speaking of sporting stuff, we've got quite a big sporting event coming up this weekend, haven't we?
I'm really excited for this. So it's the Stone Run Half Marathon. I'm really excited for it. I mean, obviously it's incredible. It's happening, and really excited for the people that are taking part. But I have to say, I loved the day that we filmed the marathon. I think it's just for us.
That was ages ago, wasn't it?
For us as FITV, it's like I feel like I'm on a mission because we all get together and get sent our jobs and running round. So, and this one, they're running in a straight line. So from like basically one end of Stanley to the other and a bit more, I think, is the gist I've got.
North Camp turn-off to Surf Bay.
Yes, that makes a lot more sense. So I think that'll make it easier for them and easier for us to film, to be honest, as well.
So we don't have to loop back on each other.
Yeah.
We're going to be
absolutely.
running riot in the car. Quick! It's a very well orchestrated plan we have for things like this, isn't it? Military plan.
Well, I was going to say, as you mentioned for the marathon, you guys have been here like a week,
Yeah.
less than that when we did the marathon, and that was a bit of a nightmare. It was just we did it well in the end, but it was a bit like, hey guys, here's a deep end, swim.
Yeah.
All I remember from that, because it was me and you that were together, Tom, wasn't it? And I was Tom told me to drive straight and drive slow in between all these runners, and he's hanging out of the window with a GoPro
On a gimbal.
on a gimbal, and I'm panicking, hoping that he manages to keep his feet in the car.
All I remember is Steve turning up with hot chocolates and bars of chocolate left, right and centre, but he won't be here, so we're going to have no support team.
But I mean,
So
this
if
is-
anyone would like to support us by getting us some sweets or cakes,
I mean,
Don't worry,
this-
we've got
this-
two people at the
This is
table that can
and
be in
this is the
charge.
half marathon, so it's not like we're going to be there. Like the marathon was so long, whereas this should be done by midday. It'll be
Yeah.
done. It'll start at 9. Should be done by midday, and then going up to NPC that afternoon for a football game against the military.
Oh, nice. Oh, busy day for you.
yeah,
I
we have
don't
any-
think I'm in the squad for that one, so I think I'm going to film it.
Oh, nice.
So
Good
either
plan,
or.
though, anyway.
that would be good.
News.
And one other thing we've got as well coming up is the Stanley Triathlon, which I think we should definitely go in for.
An FITV team.
The FITV team, definitely.
So
Right.
Hannah can do the swimming, you can do the cycling, Tom,
Yeah,
and
do
I'll
the
do that
running.
big run.
And who films it? The two people who aren't competing at the time.
Yeah.
I guess, because
Yeah.
we'll take it in turns.
Yeah, well, I'll take it in
So it'll be
turns.
fine for you and fine for me.
And I'll just be
Hannah,
wet.
And Hannah can just do it in her swimming costume. Actually, to be fair, that could work. And how cool would that be to sit down on the podcast the week after and go, we competed as a team in the triathlon
I
and
know.
filmed it.
I thought you were going to say, how cool would that be to see Hannah in her swimming costume? Okay, Thomas.
Can we insert the sound of Hannah playing a trumpet right there?
Yeah.
My head's just grown 10 sizes bigger.
We could present
Not that
her
you
lead
need
it
to do
though. We could present her lead it though during it and have GoPros on our heads.
That's
That
a
would be good.
What's the date
Fly
for
the-
it though? Because am I in South Georgia?
25th of November.
Then I'm here. Cool. Because I
Good.
think I might miss the England football game no matter what. Because I think it's the day before I get back. I think I get back on Sunday the 11th. I think I'm away for 9 days. I think I get back on Sunday the 11th.
Yeah.
And the game's
typical.
on Saturday the 10th.
Typical.
Gutted.
No.
But anyway, I think that's about us. What have we got on for anything else for next week? Exciting?
So you're doing the big World Mental Health Day brunch
Brunch,
thing
yeah,
tomorrow.
they're doing a load of different activities and stuff at the town hall, which should be quite nice. And I think there's chocolate medication? Chocolate meditation, which I think you have one chunk of chocolate and you're not allowed to eat it and you just stare at it, which sounds like
sounds
torture,
hellish.
doesn't it? But
How is that meditation?
I don't know. I've got no
That's an
idea.
exercise
I'll just
in
eat it
self-
straight away.
That's making me think of, you know, the TV show The Secret Life of like 4-year-olds?
Yeah.
You know, and they just like leave them in a room with a piece
Yeah,
of
yeah,
chocolate
yeah.
and tell them not to eat it, and they go in and they lick it and put it back. You're like, no one will ever know. If I just eat the little bit off the corner, they won't. They won't notice.
We got that. We got the marathon as well
Got the
coming
marathon,
up.
football game on
Football,
Sunday
yeah.
afternoon. I'm going down to York Bay to go and film the start of the sifting of sand.
That would be good.
So going down to do
Nice.
that. You're catching up with Mark Nightingale actually
Yes,
about the triathlon.
which would be
You
quite
can book our
interesting.
spot in there
Yes.
now.
Yep.
And
I'm on
Katie
holiday.
Beattie, what are you doing next week?
I'm on holiday and being a tourist, so I'm off to stay at one of the self-catering cottages, Elephant Beach.
That'd be
you
nice.
Go north.
Yeah, so I'm going.
What's
going
at Elephant Beach?
I will. Elephants?
She'll find out and tell us next week.
I will find out and tell you on the podcast next week, hopefully with a tourist guest.
And if you want to see some of Elephant Beach, head to our
Instagram.
head to our YouTube channel and look for a piece done by a previous member called Michelle on
Amazing.
the reintroduction of native species.
But
She
also
went up
look
there
at-
and it's a fantastic piece.
Look at our Instagram because I'm sure we can get some stuff from Katie once she's been on her trip. We'll
I'll
get
take
some
loads of, I don't think I'll
pictures.
have any Wi-Fi or anything out there, but I'll take loads of pictures, and when I get back I'll fill our Instagram story
Yes.
with my trip to Elephant Beach.
Yes, that sounds
That would be
awesome.
really cool actually.
I'll do that.
Do a little like vlog almost.
Yeah, it'll be a tourist's time at Elephant Beach, so if you do end up coming down here I'll save them as memories on our Instagram page, so you can go to our actual Instagram and click that through if you're ever a tourist down here.
And I hear that the weather's not been fantastic recently, because there are quad bike tours up there. Are they going to be available, not available?
I think the quad bike tours are available, but they do 4x4 tours to take you around and see some of the wildlife, which isn't available because the grounds just had too much rain in it. So we're going to do a lot of walking, and actually we're getting some beauty treatments done while we're up there, so we'll see how that goes.
That sounds nice.
I was going to say, your dad's looking extremely
excited for that, yeah.
He's going to have to bring a couple of books with him. He can't read his book.
But I will be slightly disappointed if he comes back and says he hasn't gone on one of the quad bike tours though, because I've heard so many good things about those quad bike tours. We're going to have to get up there and do a piece on them soon.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when you're there, mention it to him so that we want to come up and do a piece.
I will do.
And then all three of us can go up there and go and do a day on the quad bikes with Ben.
That sounds fun.
Sounds awesome.
And there you go. What a note to end it on.
Exactly.
Right, well, you can subscribe to us or listen to our podcast online on iTunes or on SoundCloud at Meanwhile in the Falklands, or just search FITV. And tune in to us next week to hear more about what we're up to.
Exactly. So we will see you then.
Bye.
Bye.